yes, yes. I feel it. I feel it. You feel the Spirit of God moving within you? Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kong, Des, and Lorenzo, for starting us off. Yes, welcome. Welcome, Namasté, to our service here today. So glad you could join us. Thank you for being here, whether you're in person or online. Welcome to our beautiful space. If you are new, we are so glad that you are here with us. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Namasté is a radically welcoming community. We believe that all paths lead to an awakening. We are collectively revealing that love is the nature of who we already are. Yes, who we already are. We are a welcoming community, and by the looks of some of these Halloween costumes, I am so grateful we are a welcoming community. Thank you for participating in Halloween today, you guys. Awesome. All right, let's read this together. Okay, here we go. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize that we are one. Namaste. Yes. So I want to say that our service here today is dedicated to Sojourn Grace Collective. And they are a spiritual community, which unfortunately today was their last service. They are closing today. And so in honor of them, I want to read this. This is what they read at the beginning of their service, so I want to share it with you. You are valuable and enough. You are the powerful creator of your own life. You have good reason to be skeptical about spiritual community. You are not alone. You are worthy. You are spirit. You belong, and you have something to say. You have been hurt in life and have good questions. You are beautiful, loved, and have what it takes. You have a purpose, and your opinion matters. You are trustworthy, and you have something to teach, and that is true for all gender identities, all sexual orientations, all religious affiliations, all ethnic backgrounds, and socioeconomic statuses. If you have breath, then you belong. So our service is dedicated to them. All right. Yes. All right, let's turn it over to Kong. Thank you. thank you, thank you. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Candace Stein. She is our practitioner carrying the light today, holding the light for our service, and that's a very important job. And I don't know if all of you know that, but we have a practitioner who holds the light and holds our service in prayer, and that today is Candace. So she's going to light the candle, and we're going to begin our service. Thank you, Candace. Okay, so I want to now introduce our Board of Trustees who will do our announcements. Lori Winterroad, come on up.
Good afternoon, Namasté. So at this point, we'll invite you to stand up and say hello to someone you maybe haven't seen in a while, or if you have, then say hello to the person next to you all over again. And come on back. And while you're coming on back, take a look at our mission statement and join me with that. Ready? We are a joy-filled, loving center of spiritual growth. We create transformative connections and build bridges of unity for an all-inclusive humanity. We are Namasté. And how do we do that? We awaken to a new truth in our lives. We realize how that truth is played out in our lives. We take that new learning, our new knowledge, and transform our lives. And we repeat this process in our lives in a new way. Power statements. We are a place of connection, healing, and unity. Hashtag we are Namasté. Hashtag this stuff works. Some brief announcements for this week. Next week, my favorite Sunday of the year, we fall back. Next Sunday, the 6th of November, we gain an extra hour of sleep. And we are going to be concluding our adventures in faith. You've been seeing this slide for several Sundays. We have one more week of study this week, and we conclude with a celebration next Sunday. And special guest Tracy Brown will be here The author of Stained Glass Spirit, the book we've been reading, is here during service. And a potluck gathering last week for sign-ups out in the narthex, out in the, before you leave the sanctuary if you haven't already signed up. And whether you've signed up or not, please join us. This has been a very colorful several weeks, and I, for one, have been known to wear color following the week that's been intended. So this week, many of us red for honoring this week's color of the week. Next week, yellow and orange. Next week, for November the 6th, please wear yellow and or orange to celebrate our concluding session for Adventures in Faith and for Celebration Sunday. Mark your calendars. There will be a community meeting. This is a little different than Sunday. A community meeting on Monday, November 14th at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom to announce a change in board members and provide an update on collaboration. So please mark your calendars now if you haven't already done so. Monday, the 14th of November, 6:30, Zoom. Details will be for the link in the newsletter this week. Digging deeper, next week is the first week in November, the first week of the month. So as that, we have our Digging Deeper First Wednesday event. So join Beth Syverson Safe Home podcast with Alex Kaplan, a filmmaker, as he presents several of his films, and he and Beth will facilitate a safe and transformative conversation with participants. Alex Kaplan creates short films, 4 to 6 minutes, that prompt deeper conversations about changing relationships with struggle and growth. Alex will present several films, and Alex and Beth will facilitate a safe and transformative dialogue with participants. Alex's films use humor, suspense, and drama to create relatable, honest, and vulnerable scenes that everyone can relate to on one level or another. If you've ever been touched by addiction, either you or your own or a loved one's struggle, these films will resonate deeply with you. So register on Eventbrite or follow links in the newsletter. And the Safe Place Grief Support Group is second Wednesday, so a little bit ahead. That's second Wednesday at 7 p.m., fourth Monday at 10. And of course, every morning, start your weekday mornings with the practitioners with a spiritual practice. Jumpstart your weekday morning. Join practitioners every weekday morning at 7 a.m. for prayer, support, and connection. You can call in or join in on Zoom. Information on the website or in the newsletter. Another discussion group is coming out just as Adventures in Faith is leaving. We have something new starting, and that'll be a discussion group. Join Reverend Veronica and Tracy Brown in a 4-week discussion series inspired by the book Small Great Things. Is a novel that's based on a true story. It reveals how all of our lives are connected because of so many ways racism expresses in our society, and I think Reverend Veronica touched on that a little bit last week in her talk. You'll begin to understand how we're all socialized to see or not see the impact of racism. You'll explore how we train each other to accept unfair treatment for individuals and groups, and you'll have the opportunity to reflect on ways you can be a voice and an example of respect and fairness in your own community or workplace. Join us as we read this introspective twist of a novel and discuss how these characters and situations relate to you and your experiences. Again, links in newsletter or on Eventbrite to register. And last but not least, thank you last week to Reverend Veronica for your great talk, to our music team led by Kong, and to all of those who helped in last Sunday's service for Kong, Des, and Lorenzo. And I believe last week we actually had a guest pianist. Yeah. Guest pianist. Okay, so anyway, thank you to last week's group, and Lorenzo, welcome back. And with that, one more. One more. One more. That's all I have for an announcement. Then thank you. All right.
I would like to introduce the very wonderful and very great Melissa Lewis to all of you right now. Thank you very much, Melissa, for coming and gracing us with your beautiful music.
Thank you. Help if I turn it on. This is one of those moments when all that really matters is crystal clear. We are woven together by whatever threads of life that have brought us here. We are stripped of all our layers. We are getting to the core. Tell me something real and nothing more. 'Cause I don't know why. And I don't know how. And I don't know where. Baby, all I know is now. So I'm here between the bookends of everything that was. What will be? If there's a wealth of information, not so many answers, it seems to me. So I face the unfamiliar. Nothing is clear. Only blind faith can carry me through.
Okay, we have a few sound challenges today. So I'm going to acknowledge what all of your looks are when I walk down the aisle. You're like, what's going on? we're going to do this. So today's a little bit different. We're doing a little workshop, and the workshop itself is all around really what we're talking about as spiritual community is this journey as one. I'm going to be led in a little bit of a discussion, so I might be asking you to speak up. So just be prepared for those of you that need a warning, and some of you that even if I give you a warning, it doesn't matter. So, am I losing sound here? Tori, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, just make sure you can hear me. So, the journey of one, which is a core spiritual principle of what we do, is oneness. And oneness, oftentimes we kind of throw that word out there in a way that is very cliche. We think of oneness, but do we really practice it? So some of the exploration we're going to be doing over the next, I would say, few months, doesn't matter, it's the mic. So some of the exploration that we have with respect to that is really what is that practice of oneness? What does it really mean? And in a community, what does it mean? So before we start, I'm going to do a little practice of oneness. So I'm going to ask all of you if you're able to uncross, just uncross everything. Hands open, nicely. It works if it's in your lap, not up like you're looking at the sun, although that could be it too. So just take a nice breath. Gemini, I'm going to be walking around a little bit, just a little warning for you. Take a nice breath, and as you exhale, I want you to close your eyes. And just fill your entire body with breath. So just imagine your entire body filling with that breath and releasing as well, releasing that breath. And now I want you to take your focus to your heart. And as you breathe in, feel that breath in the heart. And just feel that heart space filled with breath and release it. And that space and that place that you focus on in that heart in this moment is your center. It is the center of your being. So if you can take that breath in and focus on the heart, breathing, allowing that breath out from the heart. And just notice as you do that, yes, life is going on around us. There's things happening in the room. There's other people in the room. But coming back to center is coming back to the breath and coming back to the heart. And just take another big, deep breath and release, and then just open your eyes into the space that we're in. Reverend Veronica mentioned an organization, a church that closed, and their name is Sojourn Grace Collective. And up in the upper right hand is a photo of the two ministers that are closing it. And the reason it's so important, I've been following them for probably 7 years. They've been around 8. And they grew, and in their growth, one of the things that was really important in their community was to really be a place that was safe for folks that had been excluded or marginalized or even traumatized from the religious experience, especially in Christianity, although they're welcoming to all. And what's interesting is I got to know Colby, he's up on the right, a few years ago, because I came to him with my own concerns about our CSL movement really being inclusive. Because depending on what center you go to, it's inclusive, depending on what center you go to. And it really is a challenge, because seeing diversity in the room is one thing, taking and actually having intentional inclusion is another. Inclusion being the action, diversity being the form. And the diversity of folks, which is everyone in the room comes in with a completely different experience. Sojourn Collective, Grace Collective, was a church out there in San Diego that has truly made a mark on the religious culture of San Diego. And their closing really hit me. It really impacted sort of what I felt and sort of what is happening across the United States with respect to churches are closing. And they're closing as a result of the pandemic. But before the pandemic, there was a sense of that church was not adapting. Spiritual community has not been adapting to the need of our world. It's been doing the same thing over and over, just let's work harder and we'll get there. And we're finding that that's not the case. So one of the things in my own practice is what Ram Dass says, which is the opportunity here, which is take what is on your plate and transform it until it feeds you. As we go forward as a community as Namasté, we are collaborating with Seal Beach right now. We did start collaborating with Downey, but they were not as available for a few months. So we're moving forward with this collaboration. And this next month, your board, including practitioners, are going to be making some decisions about what can we do? What are the opportunities out there in this collaboration? And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that more towards the end of this conversation that we're going to have. The macro and the micro. Let's talk about Namasté for just a moment. I'm also watching time. Namasté has been through quite the transition over the last 8 years, hasn't it, for some of you who've been here. Reverend Kristen, who led this community to quite significant growth, actually before she left, the community started its shrink. It did. Rev James came into the picture and took over in 2014 into 15, and the Namasté, by the time I came into Namasté, we had accumulated around $170,000 in debt. We had a board that was dealing with that, and believe me, every board meeting, if I may say, was painful. It was painful. Because really at that point we were trying to keep doors open. But the board, and this board was incredibly powerful, because within them there was this spiritual prototype of what truly Namasté has been, and it was important to maintain a community and to keep that community going. During those transitions too, we lost intellectual assets. We lost people that knew how to do things. And what we've seen over the past, I would say 2 years, is finding folks to step in to volunteer and lead has been difficult, would be a nice word. It's been tough. And so what's happened is we have few people doing lots of things in Namasté. In 2018, there was a right sizing in the budget. 2019 and going into 20, we were seeing growth. We released a building that was way too big for our budget. That was in 2020, before the pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, we saw an immediate shutdown of absolutely every spiritual center in the country, mostly, I should say. And when that happened, our size dropped by 50%. Over time. This is not unusual. What's happening at the macro is also happening at the micro. Did you see your activities completely disappear in some cases? We lost family, we lost friends, we lost institutions, organizations, and we have walked through a situation that is absolutely unique to anything most any of us have had during our generation of life. We moved into this new building. We saw a renewed sense of interest with respect to having a space that we could both afford and provided us with things that we didn't have in the previous space. The community chose this space. We implemented new streaming, we implemented a new time, we had new ministers, new practitioners, and then as we've been coming out of recovery, I'm setting up something, we have had a complete reset globally. How many of you lost someone during the pandemic? Keep your hand up. How many of you lost more than one during the pandemic? How many lost more than 3? 4, 5, 6. I'm still raising my hand here. How many of you lost an activity you used to do? An organization you belonged to? How many of you lost interest? Yeah, that's the one that I was afraid of. People aren't coming back to spiritual community. And this is indifference. People are leaving spiritual communities. The online present isn't dynamic, and therefore people are going to go find something else. That's just kind of the nature of it. People are looking for an authentic experience. These are things we know. There's so much we don't know. What worked before isn't going to work again. It's a new world. And we don't know what that is. We do not know what that is. The building isn't the center of ministry. Namaste, did you learn that one? Yes. Really? The building isn't it. What is it? Us. It's us. We are the spiritual community. People have quit everything and are picking anew. They're picking very specifically the things they want to come back to. And some people aren't picking anything because they're too afraid to come back. The old paradigm is broken. By the way, this paradigm we're operating in of spiritual community was starting to break down before the pandemic. The pandemic broke it completely. And maybe it should have. Maybe we weren't paying attention. Churches who only think Sunday and who only think building will continue to shrink. That's what's happening. Those are the trends. So we're going to go into a little bit of a conversation about what has been our evolution, which is our own personal evolution, before we get to the collective.
Thank you, Bobby. Let me put my slide here. This is a quote from Howard Thurman. All belong to each other, and one who shuts oneself away diminishes oneself, and one who shuts another away from one destroys oneself. And what I think that he's saying here in the understanding that we are all one is the separation that has occurred over the last few years. And I did a little bit of research too, and one of the things that I realized is that in the early 2000s, I think it was like 2005 or so, things like YouTube and Facebook, began. And it took a few years, but I would say within that next 10 years, they were up and running and providing things via the internet that we used to have to do in person, right? And so people, I believe that I thought too, that I could get what I needed from the internet. But what I realized, when we understand our oneness and our unification, there's something about being in the room with each other that we have forgotten. I feel like I've forgotten. If you think back to your childhood church days, if you went to church as a child, and if you think about that experience, there's something about, and for me it's in my muscle memory, about being at church and the people, whether you believe in what was taught or not, there was something about the people, that the connection, the getting the coffee and the donuts afterwards. And that's because our energy, if we're unified, we're in the same field, energy field. And so we're connected, even more so when we're in the same room. Like just standing, like this close, I'm involved in Susie's life. I'm involved in Nikki's life, just being this close. And I think that we forget that because we got used to the screen during the pandemic. And it's safer, Bobby mentioned that, it's safer. Because I think we, I'll use the word suffered during that time. The loss of connection, loss of jobs, loss of life. And so we needed something safe, right? Who would blame us for not wanting to stay safe, given the situation that none of us ever would have thought would have occurred in our lifetime, yes? As a nurse, I was like, did I sign up for this? Why did I sign up for this as a nurse? Really, it was surprising. So I think that leads to why and how the churches are closing is because we've been wanting to stay safe and reaching out and sharing energy with another, because the internet has not only connected us, it has also separated us. It has shown us things that are going on out in the world that we didn't even know about happening. And so we see things that we didn't used to see, sometimes showing things that are happening, say police on the streets that we didn't know were happening is now being shown to us. Things, whether it was at the Capitol building or whatever is being shown to us that we're seeing on the internet or on the news now. We didn't see it because we didn't have access to it before. So I think that there's some sort of safety that we perceive, a safety of staying in front of the screen or not in community because somebody might not agree with me. And that's scary because then that creates that friction or a disagreement, and I don't want to experience that. So I think that we can't do, as Reverend Bobby said, we can't do the same thing.
We have one person in the room. Have you had a spiritual community before Namasté? Just by a show of hands, how many spiritual communities did you say you've been in before Namasté? 4, 2, 3, 2, 5. Right now, how many spiritual communities do you belong to? 3, 1, 2. One in the back. 2, 1. Okay. And as far as what I'd like you to do is turn to the person, someone near you, and talk about, I want you to answer this question. What has caused you to leave a spiritual community? What has caused you to step back? Turn to the person next to you and talk a lot. And preferably not a spouse.
Oh, tons. Oh, okay. That's why I love to speak.
be succinct. And if you don't have, if there's not one person by
To answer the question. So, Gail, turn around there. Okay, so look this way again if you've finished answering it. And someone speak to that. What's been your reason for leaving? Who would like to speak?
Sorry, online folks. I'm going to start here and I'm going to go there.
Reason for leaving this community, I felt guilty and unworthy.
I left because I was not accepted. I was ostracized, and spirituality became a moot situation. I could not be my authentic self attached to that.
I was in a Protestant church, and for most of my childhood, great teen group, but the sermons were asking me to be more than I knew I could be. They were asking me to be perfect. I'm a recovering perfectionist, so this did not fit well, and so I left saying they're not being realistic.
Why'd you leave?
Well, I was in Christianity, and it was very. It was you couldn't read other things. You couldn't do other things. I mean, there was a point where they didn't come out and tell me that, but it was implied that I needed to get rid of everything from my past. Everything that I did, it's like give up my identity.
So some of most of you know, I was excommunicated at 30 because of not fitting in within the rules of that organization. A lot of us just leave, don't we? We go and find. How many have left because you weren't spiritually fed? You weren't spiritually fed. Yes? Okay. And in that lack of spiritual feeding, you found a community. Some of you found Namasté. Folks that came to Namasté have left and moved on to other communities or no community. And by the way, people are doing different things now, right? Now, I want you to turn to the person next to you and think about this question. You know why you left. Why are you staying? Okay, Terry, why are you staying?
Because of all of you. It's the people. And I'm going to answer your question before about why you left the community. I was fortunate enough to be raised in Church of Religious Science till I was a teenager, and we moved, so that's why we left that. I came back as a teenager with friends to find other spiritual communities, and went to one where every time I left, I felt knocked down, I felt not good enough, and I felt this is just not right what they're asking. I'm used to a community of love, that perfection is within you. You are made in the image of God. You are perfect. And that's not what was preached elsewhere. And so Ray and I, when we got together, we found, or if Namasté found us, Seal Beach was on the radar. Anyway, it's because of all of you that we're here.
Joy and philosophy.
I am fed and I've grown immensely under your tutelage, and also, like Terry, just everybody here, is wonderful. I'm spiritually fed.
Take the hair. Why'd you stay? And if you're new, why are you here? If you just showed up in the last couple of years, 2-3 years, why are you here? If you've been here for a while, why are you staying?
Newer than I am. I came looking for a center for spiritual living to feel like home. And that's why I came to Namasté, because of my beloved Robin. And I'm here because it feels like home when I come here. That's why I'm staying.
I was raised Presbyterian, and I loved my church and my heart. When I came out to California, I was also brought out, and I discovered a new me, and I could not find a church home here. I never found a church home here. I fell in love with a Jew, and for 35 years I went to a temple at high holy holidays and celebrated Jewish traditions in our home. I found family in that tradition to be so important and loved. Then I started coming here. I heard about Namasté through Robin. I met Lori, and she started coming back after leaving and being ready to come back. And I have found a home, a community, a sense of what God intended us to know, a togetherness, sharing of love. I am a more whole person today, having come here. Thank you.
What do you need now? What do you need now? What do you need now for your life? For your life to continue on, which is really kind of our purpose, is to support people in their spiritual evolution. That's been what we've been doing for years. We help folks through revealing who we really are. We help one another. We be the change in the world. And the overall movement is to quicken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. But what do you need? This is our speak. What do you need?
I need to be challenged to grow. And I get that here. But I also know that just as, if you reread a book, the book speaks to you different ways because we are different from day to day. And even though we've been coming here since 2006, we are different people. I'll be a different person with different subsets next Sunday. And so I'm uniquely aware inside the meditation that Namasté still speaks to me. The lessons still speak to me. And by that I mean the speakers, the music, the people, the spaces, just the basic core tenets of science and mind. I'm also open at the top for other things that may speak to me. And at that point, I hope I have the grace to be able to put one foot in front of the other and see where that road leads. But for right now, I'm being fed by the message, by the people, by the places, by the music, and I'm happy.
Thank you, Ray. What do you need now? What do you need Namasté for? What do you need Namasté now for? If it is, I hear connection, right? I hear you love the community. That's not enough because you all know each other. And I'm just going to give you a little tidbit here. The size we are can't stay here. It's not sustainable. It's not. Which also means that you might be getting your need for connection and maybe spiritual principle, but what do you need to go forward in your life for what's next for you? What do you need?
Opportunity to continue to learn, opportunity to continue to be with people who make up my family, opportunity to be challenged, to put into practice those things that I know.
And I'm going to hand this to Marjorie because here's the deal. What you need, if you're not getting it here, you're going somewhere else. We can't be all things to all people. Let's just put that out there. But if we're not being what you need, guess what will happen?
I'm not sure how to word this, but I need to feel like I'm in a part of something that's making a difference in the world.
Short answer, trust.
You need more trust, different trust, are you getting trust? Tell me.
You know, I feel worthy here and I feel supported and I trust the things I learn here and I put in my life and the spiritual practices that give me comfort. You continue to trust all those and know they're not going to change.
Oh, the philosophy. The spiritual principles will not change. How we speak to them will evolve. How we teach it will evolve. How we show up has to evolve.
I need flexibility in the way that I participate in community, whether that's coming to service like this in person, it's online, and that there's something that continues throughout the week. It's not just a Sunday activity.
So, I don't know, the past couple of months, you've heard us talking about collaboration, you've heard us talking about what's in the future of Namasté, and, Bobby was talking to me about preparing for this talk, and I said, but wait, Bobby, I don't want to forget about the present. And so she asked me to address what I was thinking in terms of the present, and what are we offering you, what do you need? And my first question to you is if you are participating in one of the small groups for AIF, what are you getting from this small group? What is it that you are receiving that you may not have received in the past few years where we haven't been able to gather together in small groups? I'm telling Nikki, I'm going to hand the mic over to her if nobody else has anything to say. Jack?
I am being challenged to facilitate, to listen, and to hear, and to go deeper into difficult conversation. I am a newbie practitioner, and so it is stretching me. It is stretching me to dig deeper into what our philosophy is, and just hearing and having that conversation and being together. And we're in person. The group that I'm facilitating, we're in person. So to be able to see the people and then to hear that change and to see that shift in thinking has been absolutely marvelous.
I just wanted to add, there's 3 of us facilitating, so I'm a part-time facilitator. But what I have found is it's opened my eyes to some holes or little shadow sides that I was not aware of. And I'm grateful. I'm not guilty. I'm not ashamed. I am grateful that I am willing to look at that, because without looking at it, I can't change.
I like the small group format. I like meeting in a little group with people that I don't know real well and having a chance to learn new things from them, and in a setting that I actually had to sign up for and commit to reading a book, and the discipline of showing up with having done the homework, having done the reading, and then committing to whatever learning is going to happen in that space. And it's a different space than my friends, it's a different space than my work, it's a different space than being here in this big group. I really enjoy the small group format.
The Adventures in Faith, I've been sitting in on different groups, and what it has made me is very proud. Very proud to be a part of this community, and as well as Seal Beach. Very proud of our facilitators for stepping up to the plate and to do something that they've never done before, about a new book, and have a discussion that can be challenging. And so I'm very proud, and for those who are participating, for saying yes to what could be, difficult conversations. And so it's just made me really proud to be a part of this group, to watch everyone grow together. And so, thank you. Is there anyone else that want to speak to their experience in small group? Tori got my teacher look.
I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I am definitely impacted by the small groups. Well, actually, I do know. To have the opportunity to be in this environment with the other church, Seal Beach, it really has taken away all of my what's the word for it? Just my ideas of what I think it might be, and the reality is it's beautiful. It's an amazing opportunity for people of like mind to come together. And the fact that we get the small groups, it's very intimate, and I really enjoy it. And realizing that no matter which church you're sitting in, we all have our own path, and yet we're so empathetic, we're so understanding, we're all teaching each other new things every day. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to be involved with Seal Beach, and I've just enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you, Tori. One of the things that I would say about being in a small group, and I've always said this about taking classes at Namasté, is I always find that I think I'm alone on my journey, but then I have this opportunity in these classes and small groups to share with other people and to hear other people's struggles and their celebrations, and I realize that I'm not alone on this journey. My journey may just be a little different than others, but really, we're all on the same path. And oftentimes, we're going through the same stuff. So thank you for sharing.
What's going to happen going forward? So we haven't talked about that as much in the larger group. We've talked with different groups, but I wanted to talk about this. On November 13th,
Our communities are coming together, Seal Beach and Namasté, and they're coming together for the conversation of what's next beyond collaboration, which could be a couple of things, partnership, and even up to including a merger. That is what we're talking about, and this is why. Want to know why? In both cases, our communities, the growth is so slow that we're not really able to sustain the kind of community that, with the staff, there's one minister and a staff minister, senior minister, staff minister at Namasté. Seal Beach went through a transition very similar to what we went through 5 years ago. And as we come through this pandemic with the entire world completely different, to do this alone and to think we can do it alone is not honest. It's not. It's the fact that these four walls, we think that we have to accomplish it all, and if we don't accomplish it in here, what are we doing wrong? But spiritual communities across the country are looking at that. And they're looking at that because it's what are the possibilities and potentials of doing it collectively. We're going to ask ourselves some questions, the board, the practitioners, and some key lay people who agreed to be part of it. Would our congregations be better by coming together rather than remaining separate? Can we help one another? Probably. But that group will answer that. Could we accomplish more together than separately? Would our community be better served together rather than separate? Can we actualize our potential? Can we make an impact locally? For sure, globally to some extent, because by the way, since we shut down and went virtually, we're now global in what we do. But honestly, here's the challenge. Nobody knows who CSL is out there. They do not know what our movement's about because the movement itself has been so siloed and insular that it hasn't really done much outside in the world. And by the way, we're not really a religion in the world. We're not. We're a philosophy. We call it church because it's on Sunday. We are not a religion because we don't have a dogma. Our theology is very loosely based on, and I say loosely based on some things, but it's very strongly based on the idea of oneness, in which anybody can walk in this room from any religion. That's why we're not a religion. But what we're going to be looking at is, can we actualize our potential and actually serve others, which is personal growth and satisfaction in your own life, and look at the potential for new models of ministry. We're going to be looking at that. Next month, we're going to be making decisions with Seal Beach to move forward. What would that look like? And what it might look like is 4 ways to unify, and I'm going to give you a 5th. By coming together, can we have a rebirth? Maybe a combination of a few. But adoption is typically a merger that happens when one absorbs the other. Maybe one community is really struggling, but in this case, we're both sort of experiencing a lot of the same things. A marriage is one of synergy, where we come together and create something new, just like what it says. And the last one is what we don't want to do because it fails every single time, is we emerge to try to revive something. The timeline for this, and if you can't read this, don't worry about it, I'm going to explain it, because we're going to explore in January. We're going to explore what it means if we did come together. What are the options? What does it all look like? And there are going to be teams looking at everything. We're going to make the step forward to look at what would it mean for us to come together in all of the facets, facility and finance and cultural integration and spirituality, organization, facility. All of that will happen in January. And in those will also include off-ramps, should it be something that both groups or one group says, you know what, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like something we should do. And that will be all along the way. The intention is that we will come to some decision that says, yes, we will merge, And this is what it might look like, which it could be a partnership or a full unification. And we'll be exploring those things. With the intention that in May, we will make a hard decision. And when I say hard decision, not a difficult one, hard as in a decision that says, yes, we're going to come together and this is what it's going to look like. Now it's 5:37. Do you have any questions? But I've given you a very brief overview, because this is what we know. Do you have a question? And by the way, if you're going to ask me, what is the name going to be if we do that? I don't know. What is the facility we're going to use? I don't know. And let's see what else. What's the board going to look like? I don't know. And what is service going to look like? I don't know. What time is service? I don't know. How's that? And I'm good with that. Because it's not up to me. It's up to you. And I really mean you, not me. I am an employee of this organization. The community will decide this, right? So pay attention. When things come up, reach out. We're going to be doing small group conversations as we go forward so you have all the information you need. Now, intention. Intention is everything as we go forward. Because without intention, we are so casual we don't even know what we're creating. Right? I had a quote somewhere. Oh, here it is. Choosing an intention is like choosing a doorway. That is what intention is, according to Gary Zukov. And the challenge we have is sometimes we don't like to make choices, but we have to. And there it is. In order to choose our highest and best choice, we must grow in our awareness. We must be conscious. We must grow in our knowing of what we are when we are choosing from fear or from love. So can I ask you to pay attention as we go through the next few months? Where am I at? Am I in fear or am I in love? It's okay to be in either one, but if you're going to be afraid of taking a step, it's important to be conscious about either one and where I'm coming from. Because if I make a choice from fear, then I've just made that the opportunities very minimal and I've made myself small. Okay? We are going to give you more and more information as we go along, but we wanted to do this because if we do something after service, you may or may not attend. So we wanted to put you all in a room and talk a little bit about this. Now, here's what's really great. Melissa, can you come up here? Melissa is our guest artist today, and I'm so grateful. And I know we kind of introduced her, but her music is absolutely beautiful, and your lyrics are so right on point right now. Thank you. And I thank you so much for coming and bringing that. I'd like to bring you back.
Oh, I would love to be
something
there.
where you can really step in and play for us.
I would love to.
And not that to me is amazing. Thank you for doing that. I love how our music team just supports that. Did you play at Still Beach this morning?
I did.
What
I
is
did.
that about?
Oh.
You did have her first.
That's right.
And we get her second. I love numbers.
There's enough of me to go around.
There totally is enough to go around. So we're going to go ahead and move forward in our service, and thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Think of your fellow man, let them ahead in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. Yeah, this world will be a better place for you. and me. You just wait and see. Yeah. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know, you won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. Yeah, this world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Yeah, put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. Well, I hope when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. Yeah, this world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. 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 Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your
Team. Woo. Perfect song to seal our talk today. So let's all take a deep breath together. Let it all out. As this is the time for our gifts and tithes. And as you can see on the screen, if you choose to give, you can give through PayPal, Venmo, and Give Plus, which you can find on our website. And I want to just remind everyone that giving is yes, it's financial, but giving is a way of life. And so how you choose to give and where you choose to give, just it's a way of service. It's a spiritual practice. So when we give from that place of gratitude, it multiplies in it and as our life. So let's just take a moment right here and tune into the vibration of gratitude. As you place your hand on your heart, I want you to close your eyes and just think about all that you are grateful for. And let's create a field of gratitude right here and right now. So think in your mind and in your heart that which you are grateful for, even for your breath, for your heart beating, for the clothing that you're wearing. Just finding that place of gratitude. And taking a deep breath in, opening your eyes, and it's from this place of gratitude that we read our affirmation together. I am one with the unity of all life. I give from this place of oneness. My abundance is anchored in that oneness. I honor the oneness of others. We affirm this as true, and so it is, and so it shall be. Thank you so much for all that you give to our community. I want to take this time to thank everyone that has come and given to our service here today. First of all, thank you, Reverend Bobby and Susan, for creating our talk here together today. Yes, very beautifully well done. Thank you both very much. Kong, Des, Lorenzo, and Melissa, thank you so much. Woo, rocked it today. Yes, thank you. Amazing music. Our sound and streaming team, Tori and Gemini, thank you both. Thank you so much for holding the technology down for us. And Candace Stein, thank you for holding the light as our practitioner and minister support today. Thank you, Candace. And for the slides, all the contributors to putting our slides together for our show, listen to me, for our service here today. Thank you. Lori, thank you, is our Board of Trustees on duty. Thank you, Lori, for the announcements today. And Julie Gano and Janine Cochran and all of our welcome team that greeted you as you came into the foyer. Thank you to everyone who's given and contributed to our service here today. And with that, we are going to do our benediction. And here comes Reverend Bobby.
Okay, this is one of my favorite times, and it's not because it's the end. It's because you are so amazing and beautiful. So as we do this, oh, and by the way, have you seen this? What are we wearing next week? And there's a potluck next week, so please sign up and bring something. Our two communities are coming together to celebrate what an amazing adventure we've had in faith. So make sure you do that. And is there anything else I need to say before we go? Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't like time, it only exists on the human plane. You will still have to put your clock back next week. So if you show up here at, let's see, what happens if I show up at 4:30 this time? Yeah, he doesn't know. Yeah, that's it. All right. So make sure you put... All right. So if you're able to, would you please stand? You know, I've got to guess who this person is right here, though. It's either Ken or, and it's not Max. Is it Ken? It's Ken. And yes, there's Berkeley right there in the middle. So I know that each one of us knows something within us, don't we? There's something we know. We know something about life, we know something about ourselves. But in this moment, right here and right now, what is it that we do know? Something wonderful is happening through me right now. What's it called? It is this thing called life. Hold on a second. Give me one thing about life that's happening through you right now. Breath. Love. Happiness. Joy. Candy? Did I hear candy happening through you? That was my wife. That's excellent. Thank you, my love. As always, so fun. So besides all of this thing, it is this thing called life. Where is it? Hold on. Okay, you pointed here. What's next? Feel it. Feel that tingling, that life force that that you feel in your body. There is something happening in your body right now. What is this life too? And? Now, what am I going to do with this amazing thing called life? And?
Hold. Give me something good. Now, some of you may think you can refuse some parts of life, but there is a way that we accept it. And how do we do that? What is it? Let's pause, because this is my favorite. This is the teaching moment. This is the growing edge right here. And what is that? And in both cases, I say, careful what you pray for. Now, from your toes, music team, give me a little build on this. From your toes, working up through your feet, through your legs, into your torso. And as that beautiful gratitude, because that's what we're going to do, comes up through the top of your head. Do you feel the tingling? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What are you going to say to anchor in this prayer?
Thank you, Namasté. And thank you, Melissa Lewis. She's going to join us for one last song. You know what to do. Sing along. Here we go. 1, 2. I am alive with the Spirit of God. 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 I am alive, yo. Alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. With the Spirit of God. Alive with the Spirit of God. 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 Alive with the Spirit of God. Yeah, I am alive, yo. Alive with the Spirit of God. One more time. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. Alive with the Spirit of God. With the Spirit of God. With the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive, oh, alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive, alive with the Spirit.